take it away. Every grain of salt in your kitchen, gone. In 4 days, your body starts to fail. Not tastes worse, fails. So here's the question nobody asks at the dinner table. If salt is that essential to being alive, how did anyone survive before salt mines even existed? Your body cannot manufacture sodium, not a single molecule. Every signal your nerves send, every contraction of your heart depends on it. And yet, for most of human history, scientists believe our ancestors were consuming far less of it than we do today, a fraction of what sits in a modern diet. Their bodies adapted around that scarcity. Kidneys built to hold on to sodium like a vault, releasing almost none of it, wasting nothing. That's not a coincidence. That's evolution answering a problem that never went away. Not enough salt, ever. There was no map, no sign that said, salt here. So early humans likely did what worked. They watched. Large animals travel enormous distances toward mineral-rich ground, licking exposed rock, digging at certain soils, returning again and again to the same unremarkable-looking patch of earth. Researchers think early humans noticed this pattern long before they understood why it mattered, and followed it anyway. Where the herds went out of their way to stop, humans likely stopped too. It wasn't a strategy written down. It was a strategy observed, passed forward by watching, not by knowing. But not every group faced the same problem, because not every landscape hid salt the same way. Along the coasts, the answer was closer to the surface. Seafood, shellfish, and seawater itself carry sodium. Coastal foragers likely had an easier, steadier supply simply by living where they lived. Move inland, and the problem sharpens. No ocean, no easy shortcut. Here, survival likely leaned harder on the animal itself, the blood, the organs, the marrow inside a fresh kill, alongside mineral-laced soils, salty springs, and the rare pool of natural brine. Same species, same biological need. Two entirely different survival maps, shaped by nothing more than which side of a coastline you were born on. Here's something most retellings skip. We don't actually have a pile of ancient salt sitting in a museum case from this era. Salt doesn't fossilize. It doesn't preserve. Left in open ground for thousands of years, it simply dissolves. Back into rain, back into rivers. Gone. So almost everything we know about this period isn't a discovery. It's an inference, built from animal behavior, geography, and the rare site where the process of getting salt left something else behind. Something that could survive, which raises the real question, what does survive when the thing itself doesn't? Thousands of years later, something changes. Humans stop only searching and start producing. At a site called Poiana Slatinei, near Lenca in present-day Romania, archaeologists found the remains of a Neolithic operation, broken pottery, fire pits, and a natural salt spring, all clustered together in a pattern that only makes sense as deliberate work. Pots filled with brine, held over fire for hours, until only crystallized salt remained. This wasn't Homo erectus stumbling onto a lick in the grass. These were early farming communities, only a few generations removed from a nomadic life, already running something closer to a small production site, repeated season after season. A similar story appears far to the west, at Hallstatt in the Austrian Alps, where later communities mined rock salt directly from the mountain itself. The moment matters because it's a hinge point. Before it, salt as something you find if you're lucky. After it, salt as something you make on purpose, again and again. Once salt could be made, it could also be moved. It helped preserve meat and fish for the first time. Food that used to spoil in days could now last through a season. And what can be preserved can be stored. What can be stored can be carried. What can be carried can be traded. By the time later civilizations were mining, taxing, and fighting over salt, The foundation had already been laid thousands of years earlier by farmers boiling brine in pots they knew would crack. Somewhere in that Romanian valley, 8,000 years ago, someone scraped white crystals from the bottom of a cracked clay pot with their fingernails. They didn't know about kidneys or nerve signals or sodium. They just knew the craving, and they knew this answered it. That craving never left. It's still running in you right now, exactly as it ran in them. The only thing that changed is the distance between you and the answer. Once it took a lifetime of searching, now it's 2 feet away. Feet.